Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kire here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And in today's video, I want to talk about why I think this event is the best fusion event I've seen so far in Raid Shadow Legends, specifically when it comes to early, like when it comes to free to play and when it comes to low spenders. If you're in the early to mid game, I think this is a fantastic event for people in that situation. I think this event is not going to cost anyone any money for the real benefits of this event, and I wanted to point out just how good they are. So the first thing I want to mention is for most people, like my thoughts on this character on the actual fusion. Let's look at the actual fusion himself. We have this guy quickly. A lot of people were able to get him day one. They maxed him out, ran through some initial testing. First couple days, I've seen a couple things in like unkillable teams. I've seen kind of useful in like new comps for Spider, stuff like that, but pretty niche. A couple things I like about it, very unique when it comes to how applying poisons makes you do more damage. And I also do like that he has a cleanse on a 2-turn cooldown if you have him booked, but that is a massive investment. For the majority of people, I think the fusion materials are amazing. The characters that they're giving for this event. Let me see if I'm blocking it. Okay, so all these are good characters. So, but not only are the epics good characters, yes, with Umbrella Enchantress and Corpse, is it Corpse Collector? Yeah. So Umbrella, yes, these two characters here being significantly better. I think they're really good characters. Whereas these two are actually not bad. Let alone the epics are good. All four of them are good to varying degrees. Even Fan Cleric is pretty solid. But there's also some of the top tier rares in the game that you can get guaranteed. So not only are we guaranteed some of the very good rares in Soulbound Boyar, we have Frozen Banshee, top tier poisoner. She's amazing. She has turn meter reduction. She has defense ignore. She has crit built into her kit. She's just a very good character. We have this guy, this lizard dude. I forget how to pronounce his name, but he's solid. We got another staple rare in Bulwark here. All these are amazing characters that here. Let me actually pull them up. So we have Void, Haru Specs. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but for people that are just starting, you're getting a Speed Aura in Arena. You're getting a Revives Dead Ally. Like this is a big deal. When I was starting out, I didn't have much revive. It wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't even until Arbiter. Arbiter is when I really got to be able to take advantage of revive on my team. So, but that is with the caveat of when I first started playing, they didn't have Haru Specs. They didn't have what's her name? They didn't have. Where is she? They didn't have Reliquary Tender. Like some solid entry level characters that allow you that option. They did have Grinner and stuff, but I didn't really. I never used them. Point being, that is a very powerful effect if you're just starting out and you're trying to progress. So we have him. We also have this dwarf guy here is very good in Bulwark. Not only are you getting HP burn, you're also getting buff extender when he's hit. You're getting HP burn, and then also a smaller version of weaken. So he applies a ton of stuff for clan boss. You're actually getting, for rare wise, you're getting some of the best clan boss characters in the game. If you don't even want to go for the epics, you just want to get some of the rares in Bulwark and in Frozen Banshee. And then Frozen Banshee, if you missed out and didn't get her, this is probably going to be, out of all these characters, I would say this is the best one, including the the legendary. So it's incredible. Like it's so cool that they're giving this character away. Yes, if you're going to use her, you obviously can't fuse. But if I was just starting out, I would take Frozen Banshee over almost all these characters all day. And the cool thing too, just about the rares, I wanted to bring up is that I want to bring up is if we look here at the news, So legendary fusion. So none of these have, like, some of them do, but let me see. Yeah, so for example, Umbral Enchantress herself was in the Summoning Rush event, but all these rares, especially the good ones like Bulwark, Dungeon Divers event, you have plenty of time to get that. The one that's kind of bad though is, which one is it? There's one for a spider. Yeah, spider tournament. Yeah, so they made Frozen Banshee in the spider tournament, which is better than, we'll have to see. We'll have to see here soon when like how far she is into the spider tournament, but I don't care how like far she is or where you're at in the spider, I would definitely try to go for her in the spider tournament. 100%. And then lastly, Soulbound Boyer here, or Soulbound Boyer is going to be in the champion training event. So you got champion training event, can get her. Bulwark is in the Dungeon Divers event. Both are very reasonable events to get. And then a couple of these other ones that are solid in these two lizard guys is, Artifact Enhancement event, and then also a Dungeon Divers event. So same event, which is fantastic. So then if you want to combine them into these epics, so I want to briefly touch over why I think all these epics are very good for progression, like better than you normally think for this stuff. So the first one I think is probably the best one out of all the epics is going to be Umbral Enchantress here. So she's already been used for fusion events in the past, but a lot of people, even for that, I forget specifically which one she was used for, but she's been used. I remember like looking at that fusion and I'm like, oh, I kind of just want Umbral over the actual legendary. And so same thing applies here. I think she's still better. Reason being, so she has two very good things going for her. She has her A2 here, which is attacks all enemies, and then has a 100% chance when booked of placing a block debuff for 3 turns. So 3-turn cooldown, so it's always up. You'll always have block buffs up. And then lastly, you have this is kind of like her main move here, which is attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance when booked of placing provoke debuff for 2 turns, then places unkillable buff in this champion for 2 turns, places a block cooldown skills, so she locks herself out for 5, but you're using her as for dungeons. You're just going to clear that room, and then that's going to fall off when you go to the next room. So which makes that very good. In arena, she's fantastic because provoke is such a good move. Actually, 2 of these characters have AoE provoke, these 2 epics. And to give you an idea, like I use Agnar all the time. He has this amazing move here where he provides, provoke to everyone. And it's just so powerful in arena, especially if you can like speed boost him and then he goes to land provoke on everyone. It's very powerful for arena. So both of these characters would help you out there. And it's very good for progression in dungeons and faction wars. So they're gonna, not only are you gonna have them early, but when for a character to be good in faction wars, it needs to be a good character. It might not apply to a lot of stuff. It might be very niche, but it needs to have very specific things to still be good in faction wars. And when I say good in faction wars, I mean can actually take you all the way to faction wars 20 and 21. The characters I'm thinking about using there. So it's a big deal. So these characters in this fusion event, all free to play, are going to be characters that are going to last a long time. So then we have Umbral Enchantress. Now let's talk about this guy. And I think this one was surprising. I haven't read his kit in a minute, but if I'm in the mindset for free to play or early mid game, just mid game characters, I think this for progression, I think this character is fantastic because it's a similar situation where it's this is the big move I wanted to talk about, which is his A3. Places a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns, and then has a 50% chance of placing provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. So you book him so it becomes a 4-turn cooldown and a 100% chance to place provoke on all enemies, and he's counterattacking. So when they're provoking, getting hit by, he's attacking them back. Then let's check his A1 here, which has a 30% chance of placing leech. If you actually book this too, then it's going to be 40%. So not only is he tanking for and carrying your team through areas, then he's also playing leech so everyone can heal from it, even himself included can heal from it. And then lastly, he has this move here that I really like this move for early progression, which is his places a perfect veil buff and a continuous heal buff on an ally for 2 turns. I really like when survivability is the issue, especially when you're trying to progress through Dragon 20 for the first time, or it's a struggle and you're having to, your runs are very long, having the ability to perfect veil one of your squishy carries that actually, or squishy damage dealers that is, you definitely can't let die, and that's going to be most of your damage. It's very nice to have that ability, like a spot way of just taking him out. Also, too, he's perfect. Normally, for someone like this, you wouldn't want him force affinity, even though off affinity, yes, you'd have weak hits. But what that would mean is then they're going to avoid him. They're going to attack other people. He's not going to be on the priority list. But what's cool is that not only is he off affinity, but he's provoking and making them attack him. So I think he's fantastic for carrying you through Dragon. And then also, since he's force, he's also going to be a good carry for Spider for his A2 and his A3 to help you if you wanted an off affinity tank for Spider. I think that's two really cool things that he provides. He's not going to be probably the best off affinity tank for Spider, but he's definitely, solid. And then lastly, he has a good base speed too. So the reason why I bring it up is I don't want people to sleep on this guy. I think this is an opportunity to have a really good carry just handed to you for free, essentially. Yes, you got to grind up the rares. Let's look at the rares really quick. This one is probably my least, if you have Frozen Banshee, I don't really think she has much use as a 2 of, but if this is your first Frozen Banshee, you're early and this is one of your best poisoners, absolutely do not fuse him. Keep the Frozen Banshee. Frozen Banshee is going to go way farther for you. But if you already have one, then I would strongly consider, and you're in the situation that I'm describing, definitely give this guy a look. Also, you're probably not going to lose much by just getting Umbral. Umbral is very good, if not better, just objectively better than him. They do very similar roles. You can abuse the typing a little bit with him, whereas she's just going to be straight up. So, they have pros and cons. Overall, I'd probably choose her. I think she's just a better character overall, because the unkillable, for someone that's provoking and the unkillable, especially when your gear's really not up to par, having that unkillable and just like, you're not going to die, my gear's not going to be a bottleneck here, the kit's going to save me. I think that's fantastic. So for most people, Umbral Enchantress, but I do want to bring up him as well. And then another one that's just objectively very good is going to be Corpse Collector here. So, I keep calling him Corpse Collector. Catacomb Counselor. Catacomb Counselor is a very good character. He's the epic version of a very good move that Longbeard, legendary character, has, and also Chosen, the Chosen has, or Lanicus. So that Lanicus the Chosen has. And what it is it's this ally team attack where it teams up with 3 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies joining this attack will use their default skills. So very, very good move for Clan Boss. Very good move for Arena, especially with characters like Rhodos being a thing. You can turn characters that normally are big nukers, but now you can use your team as your multi-hit to try to kill the Rhodos, and then you keep your nuke character and then nuke the rest of their team with their big AoE ability that would normally proc Rhodos, for example. So very good character here. Let's look at the rest of his kit if I forgot about anything. One downside is he has pretty bad base speed, but and then A1, nothing to write home about. He does have a 3 hit on his A2 here. I wish I knew the modifier on this. That would really determine how much I like this move, but really you're just bringing him for this move here. And yes, this is an objectively worse version of the move that Longbeard has and a worse version that Lanicus has, but that's how they keep the tiering between a legendary and an epic character, especially when they're giving in a fusion event like this. So definitely keep an eye out for him. I definitely like him. That team attack is a very rare ability. Only legendary characters and him have it, and then plus 1 rare does, but then it's only 2 random allies, so it's not really as good. I like it when it gets to that 3 point, especially for for example like Arena and stuff like that. Okay, and then lastly, this Fang Cleric is the weakest out of them, but also if you look at the fusion here, the characters required are probably the weakest too out of the rares. So weigh that, but the kit is not terrible. and it might be worth considering. If I was early to mid game, I probably find more use out of Fang Cleric than I would out of the new fusion. I think the new fusion takes a lot of setup and a lot of very niche situations to ever, use them effectively. I think probably the best is going to be an unkillable team, and that means you already have multiple legendaries and you're probably 2-king, 2 or 3-king Ultra Nightmare anyway. But for in this situation, if you're mid game, you got a character here which is this transfer a debuff, which is okay for an A1, and then his A2, which is heals all an ally by 20% of this champion's max HP, also fills the target's turn meter by 30%, and then places a veil buff. 2-turn cooldown. I really like this for especially on a support character with a good base speed. What he's doing is he's going to be saving that squishy character, keeping him out of the fight so he can pop off instead of having to worry about him getting targeted, because he's probably going to be the one with the lowest HP, going to be the one that the AI is going to want to target most likely. And then lastly, he has a revive here, which is cool. Just like I was talking about, like Reliquary Tender or like Grinner, that lizard guy that I can't pronounce his name, all things that have revive. It's definitely more common now, but here's another example of that. His is a little better. You're probably the epic version of that, which is not only rezzing them, but then giving them turn meter, giving them unkillable and continuous heal. So it's not only because a lot of times you revive them and they just die again, but he makes sure that they at least get to go, and then potentially heal if they don't get targeted here in a bit. So it's good for this kind of mid game, and all these characters are very early mid game progression based, and they're all free to play. It's very cool. It's legitimately very cool. Polarium. It's just you see the legendary on top, and you're like, okay, I got to get the legendary. But in reality, like this is the way where to go are these 4 characters. These 4 are going to massively change your account way better than this legendary character is. And then even the rares would change your account more probably, or a combination of a couple of epics, couple of rares. Ideally, you would just get all of it, but depends on the situation you're in. So I don't know. Oh, and then I don't know if I think I lost my train of thought, but mainly I like all these characters. And one thing I didn't touch on though when it comes to this guy is Dark Elf, as he also has a ally speed in all battles by 15%, which is very rare to have it on all battles. I believe there is another guaranteed character here in Haikatoon. This one is 19%. Okay, so probably going to be using this. This is just a better kit, I believe. Yeah, decrease not only increases turn meter, decreases turn meter. So just a better character, better aura. But it missed out on that. Don't have that. Fang Cleric is an option, but probably better options out there. So I think out of all these guys, the one that is going to get the most mileage, the one that really, it's not just hey, you're free to play. Here's a character that's good because you're in this situation where you don't have access to other characters. The characters that are actually good and they're going to stay good for the life of your account, in my opinion, out of these guys are going to be Umbral, Enchantress, and then Frozen Banshee. I think those are the 2 ones that could theoretically last an entire account. They're comparable to the in-game characters. And then also Catacomb Counselor is unique enough to where you need either him or you need 2 legendaries, 2 different legendaries that can do that ability. There's yes, there is that rare character that can do it, but it's just not good enough when it's on that rare character where only calls 2 people in for the counter or the ally attack. Whereas 3, I think that's when you can actually put it in the conversation of a very unique and powerful ability. So I really wanted to highlight just how good these rare and epic characters are. I think yes, there has been very good characters in the past, and maybe people are very good characters in the epic slot or the rare slot for fusions, and maybe people are on the lookout for that. I do remember that a very good, probably the best one that they've released in the epic slot in Sentinel here was a fusion character. So I know that this has been a thing. Umbrella Enchantress has already been a fusion character, so maybe people are already on the lookout for this. But I did want to highlight it because I think this combination-wise, you get a mediocre legendary character, and then you get a lot of good rares and epics sprinkled throughout. Really add up to making this a very good event for a lot of people. And I really want to make sure that as many people that could take advantage of this that would actually benefit do. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. If you want more content like this, please consider subscribing. And then you guys have a good one. Peace.